morning, everyone. All right, we're moving on from adding fractions as we did earlier, well, actually last week, all right, where we had to find common denominators. And remember, when we add fractions, we only add the numerators, but we can't do anything until we have common denominators. Well, the same thing applies for subtracting fractions, okay? Um, the only difference, we always have to remember this, and this goes back to even just subtracting in whole numbers. Order matters, okay? Order matters in subtraction. It matters in division. With addition, it's multiplication doesn't matter. We have the commutative property, the associative property that tell us we can add, multiply in any order we want. The result, the product, the sum will be the same. But order does matter in subtraction. And when New York State or any publication makes or presents you with a problem, they have to write it. Now, I'm just talking about a straightforward problem. So if I said 3/4 minus 1/8, if they just give you this on a worksheet or a quiz or a test, they have to put the larger fraction first. They cannot um, flip these and say, figure it out. All right, they have to give you that because it's logical. It makes logical sense that that is the way it has to be done. So they have to give you the bigger one first. When they just write out a simple problem, say if this is number 3 on the test, if they just write it out like that. Now, when it comes to word problems, this is where it can get tricky. Word problems, once again, just because the 3/4 comes first or the 1/8 comes second doesn't mean that that's the order. All right. Word problems are totally different. We'll tackle those in a different video. But when we're doing straight up subtraction of fractions, we have the same exact method that we use when adding. Okay, but at the end, we subtract instead of add. So let's just use this sample right here, 3/4 minus 1/8. Again, you would list out your multiples, but you might see the shortcut already, where 4, we said this in the last video, can go into 8. You have your lowest common denominator already. All right, so we find that 8 is our common denominator. We set up our problem just like we were adding, but once again, we are subtracting today. All right, 8. What times 8 is going to give you 8? 1. What times 1 times 1 is 1. We convert to an equivalent fraction. That didn't do anything at all because 8 was our common denominator. Now, this is where we will have a little conversion here. What's going to turn that 4 into an 8? Multiplying it by 2. Whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. That is a kind of rule of fractions to keep them equivalent. So now we have something that makes us very happy. We have common denominators. So that means we can add, subtract, do whatever we need to do. But in this case, we are subtracting today. And it's a very simple problem now. 6 minus 1, 5, and then our denominator of 8. 5/8 is our final answer. All right. So same exact protocol, same exact method of getting to our common denominators as last time we met. This time you're just subtracting. Now, you might be asking, well, what about borrowing? And that's when we get into mixed numbers. And that'll be a whole separate video, separate procedure. But right now, the problems that you're going to get today in IXL and for practice, these are fractions. There's not going to be any borrowing from a whole number. We'll get to that, and like I said, in a different video. Let's try another quick practice, that one that has a little bit more challenging common denominators. Let's say 3/3 and minus 2 ninths. Okay, sorry for the delay there. Trying to come up with these on the fly. Now these are going to be some interesting denominators. I want to make it a little bit more challenging. Now remember, with the one shortcut you can always do is just multiply these two denominators together, and you're going to get a common denominator. Is it the least common denominator? It might be. Chances are that it might be, but we're not sure. Let's take a look though at our 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We'll stop there. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. Well, I have counted by 5 before, and I know that 45 is going to be it. So actually, multiplying these two together would have been your quickest way to get to your common denominator. And there is a little tip. If one of your numbers is prime, and we talked about what is prime number versus composite, we'll get to that in another video. If it's prime, you can just multiply them together. All right, so there's your shortcut for the day. All right, so let's go down. Let's start the conversion. All right, 3/5. We know that we're going to use 45 as a denominator. We have 2/9. All right, and we're going to use, once again, oh, get that back, 45 as a denominator. Times 5, times 5, times 9, times 9. Okay, because we have to ask, how can I make 9 into 45? Well, I multiply by 5. How do I make 5 into 45? Well, I got to multiply by 9. Okay, so 2 times 5, oh, wrong pen. 2 times 5, 10. 3 times 9, 27. And then a very simple, hopefully simple, subtraction. 27 minus 10. 17 over 45. Because I found this was the LCD, I have no reducing to worry about. All right. So, kind of a rehash of adding fractions, but also a little bit of kind of just using your math skills from that previous lesson to show yourself how to do this in kind of the same way, but once again, we're subtracting today. All right, everybody, thanks for viewing, and I'll see everybody soon. Bye-bye.